Hey everyone, hope you're all having a great day. In this video I'm going to be talking about the top 15 3 vs 3 defense teams. The catch is we're not allowing ourselves to use any legendary, journey or epic characters on these teams. So for a few of them we're going to be getting very creative. Most of these teams are going to be extremely effective on defense in competitive GAC, which is what this video is catered towards. The main goal of these teams is to cause problems, halt your opponent or make them use multiple attempts to clear you out, giving yourself more room for error on your own offense battles. Just to clarify, I'm not advising to not use event characters on defense, it's just this video is about showing people teams without them. Also keep in mind a lot of characters or teams that are a certain tier in 5 vs 5 battles are a lot stronger or weaker in 3 vs 3. It really changes things up a bit. Without any further delay, let's get started. Please take note that these teams are ranked by my own personal opinion, which is based on a combination of how well I find them to hold on defense and how many different and well-known counters they have. So getting started at 15, we have the Ewok faction. Surprisingly, these guys do a lot better in 3v3 than they do in 5v5. A lot of people don't even use a leader on this team, as the Paplu low-grade Elder or Wicket combo is pretty deadly overall, as it's often underestimated, so people are very likely to go in underprepared and mess up. But if you're uncomfortable, feel free to run a chirper lead with Wicket and Paplu. However, compared to a lot of the other teams on this list, they're not super powerful but are a great trap for an unexpected opponent nonetheless. Up at 14 we have our Bossk, Boba and Dengar team. Now the main problem with these guys is the very common counter of Jedi training Rey, but with so many teams that are countered by her, these guys can still be really useful on defense, and if you can mod Bossk very fast they improve a lot in efficiency due to his second Zeta, which you absolutely need to have for this squad to perform at its best. You can use other bounty hunters under Bossk too, such as Greedo, Cad Bane, Django or Embo if you have them, but I find this to be one of the better comps overall. Coming in at 13 is more of a leftovers team that does pretty well overall, with Dooku lead, Droidica and Jango Fett. The reason this works so well is due to a Separatist lead, Jango is immune to damage for 2 turns. Droidica can also proc damage immunity, which will kind of force an opponent to focus down Dooku, who with his Zeta and high gear is a counter-attacking god, combined with stun and ability block on his basic. Also, if you have Droidica's Zeta, he has a chance to assist when Dooku hits 2, so this can really make the team hit hard. It's not invincible, but when you're down to the lower end of your roster, this is going to be extremely hard to kill, and can very easily catch an opponent off guard. Up at 12 we have a Jedi team of Bastila, Ezra and Old Ben. Now this team can be tweaked a little as many of them can, but I find this to be the best combo given we have a very defensive lead ability, a good damage dealer in Ezra, and a strong tank in Old Ben with some turn meter control. This team can do wonders as it's pretty hard to get through the bonus protection with a lot of the squads, and Ezra is going to be dishing out some hard damage. If you don't want to use Old Ben and have a well geared Kanan, he could be a solid replacement for Old Ben. Juhani could also fill the role but would not be as effective. Up at 11 we have Karth, Mission and Zalbar. With all Zetas, this is a very deadly team to come across if you are unprepared, and can quickly take a team apart in 3v3, with Mission and Zalbar Zetas especially. It would be ranked higher, but it's quite a common team to come across, and it does have quite a few counters for those who know how to actually deal with it. Using a Kira lead will make this team even better, but because we're using her for another team, this won't be a viable option at this point. Nonetheless, a solid team to place on your defense. Coming into the top 10 now, we have good old reliable First Order with dual Kylos and Executioner. While in 5v5 this team can easily be countered by well geared Ewoks, in 3v3 this becomes a lot harder and seriously limits your counters, especially if you're running a Zeta on Masked Kylo, which gives him a lot of survivability and the ability to take out a lot of teams himself. Yes, Jedi Training Rey will be a hard counter, but you have to remember you can only use her once and she's the go-to counter for a lot of teams. To take most of the teams out from this point in the list, you're going to have to start using more of your stronger teams to get this done reliably. Up at 9 we have Kira, L3 and Vandor Chewie. Now this is not a massively mainstream team yet, which is part of the reason it ranks towards the higher end of this list. The fact it's less well known is the reason it's harder to counter. Vandor Chewie's Zeta is the key here, as it allows the revives of his scoundrel allies. This combined with L3, who's going to be taunting very frequently, with very high defensive stats, makes actually making any progress killing this team a lot harder. Coming in at 8 we have Maul, Savage and Nest. Now for this to work really well you're going to need a Zeta on each of them. Maul's going to give evasion and stealth constantly to himself and Savage. Savage is going to be an absolute nightmare to kill for a lot of teams, and that's not even factoring in Nest, who you're going to be forced to attack most of the time due to the other two being stealthed. This makes this team an absolutely deadly trio to come across on defense. The main drawback is Maul and Savage are not exactly great characters now in other areas of the game, so it's quite an investment to make, but one that really pays off in this version of GAC. Up at 7 we have one of the best meta teams from the past making a shocking return to power in the form of GK Barriss Wampa. With a Zeta on Barriss, this team needs no introduction to you vets who suffered against this a couple of years back. In 3v3 this has become a very strong team again, and combined with the stacking damage of Wampa makes it very hard to deal with for the majority of teams. I really have a soft spot for this squad as it was my first ever competitive team in Arena back in the days, so I'm really happy to see it viable and strong again. Up at 6 we have our first Nightsister combo of Talzin, Daka and Spirit. This is an absolutely deadly team to come across in 3v3, as even a weaker variant is a lot more resistant to Imperial Troopers, which in 3v3 don't work well against this team. So when you come across this, your options are extremely limited if you want to avoid using some of your best teams. The Plague, Daka's Revive and Spirit's high damage make for an extremely tough team for your opponent to get through. Having the Zetas on Talzin and Daka make it even more top tier. Going into our top 5, we first have our second Nightsister combo of Asajj, Zombie and Acolyte. Now a lot of you might remember the old Acolyte Zombie combo from the early days of Nightsisters. This is extremely annoying in 3v3 now because you essentially have to kill Asajj or Acolyte 3 times between them per attempt to actually kill them. The real annoyance of this team though is Acolyte being stealthed. Unless you have some heavy AoE damage, frequent buff immunity or a mass dispel, getting to Acolyte is going to be impossible and most of the time will result in an infuriating timeout for an opponent who hasn't come in prepared. Up at 4 we have Geos consisting of Brood, Sunfac and Spy. You can use Soldier over Sunfac if you choose, but I prefer to have the 2 tanks as Brute will still spawn, making this 3v4 in your favour. As usual with Geos, the Triumvirate will make short work of them, but if you don't have them, you're going to seriously struggle to take this team down in 3v3, and will most likely require a top tier team to get through them reliably. This is what makes them such a solid option to add to your defense. Alright everyone, now we're getting into the top 3. It was very hard to rank these, so forgive me if you disagree with my rankings, but I'm basing this off my own personal experience with the squads. So at number 3 we have Shaak Ti, Echo and Fives. This is a top tier team in the game right now in 5v5, and this does transition well into 3v3. Killing this without a similar top tier team is very difficult, and the damage from Echo and Fives at a high gear will take down a lot of teams with ease. You'll need both Shaak Ti Zetas and a Zeta on Fives for it to perform at its absolute best, which will give the team healing when attacking out a turn, retribution when they're hit, and force your opponent to kill Fives before Echo, unless they want Echo to get a big chunk of 5 stats. Shaak Ti herself can also heal protection and health on clone allies, as well as giving them turn meter and stacking crit damage. Feel free to throw in Rex over Echo too if you prefer. At the number 2 spot we have one of my personal favourites right now, but it's not an option for everyone. We have Nute, Magna and Wat Tambor. This is an extremely underestimated team right now, and it can cause a lot of problems for a lot of people that attempt to fight it. The fact it's not common knowledge on how to take this out, and how tough it is to kill without something top tier, makes it a powerhouse on defence at this point in time. Tambor can revive Magna who is going to be taunting almost always, and with tech can even heal protection each time he takes a turn. An absolute powerhouse for your opponents to fight. And finally at number 1, it had to be General Grievous, B1 and B2. This team has won me so many matches, it's unreal. The amount of people who simply cannot kill this team is massive. It's my most frequent defence that people either cannot break or take multiple attempts to do so. And I honestly believe it has a place on anyone's defence map if you have him in the relic levels. Under that, not so much. Outside of a strong team, killing this team is going to be near impossible for the middle to lower end of people's rosters. You will need all the Zetas on this team though for it to perform at its absolute best. And that's all for today everyone. I hope you all enjoyed the video and learnt some tips for your GAC defence. These are the absolute best defence teams that don't include any legendary type characters, and should help you all to set a strong defence without using up all of your meta teams. I'm not at all saying not to use legendary types on defence. The goal is to just give you a ton of other teams that you can use to help support the ones you do place. As always everyone, please remember to like the video, subscribe to the channel, leave a comment, ring the notification bell, join my Discord server, and if you really want to help the channel, share the video with your friends. Thanks for watching everyone, and I'll see you all very soon.